Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Woman found with throat slashed, head partially severed in Portland. A woman's body was found with her throat slashed and her head partially severed in a precipice in Lightdate District, Portland on Saturday. The deceased has been identified as 30-year-old Kerryon Hunter, alias Caribou or Chubby, of Guinea Tree Lane, Port Antonio in the parish. Reports are that about 9:30 a.m., a passerby saw the body of a woman, later identified as that of Hunter, in a precipice and summoned the police. On their arrival, law enforcers found Hunter's body with her throat slashed and her head partially severed. The body was taken to the morgue pending a post-mortem examination. Detectives in Portland have since launched an investigation into the death, which is the second killing on record for the parish for 2021. Last year, the parish recorded the least number of killings among geographical police divisions across the country with 10 cases. Bartender allegedly stabbed to death by lover in St. Anne. A woman was fatally stabbed, reportedly by her boyfriend, during a domestic dispute in Cascade, St. Anne on Saturday night. The deceased has been identified as Kenesha Reed, a bartender of Fraser District in Cascade. She is believed to have been in her 30s. Her boyfriend is in police custody and is expected to be questioned by investigators. Preliminary reports are that sometime after 11 p.m., Reed and her boyfriend, said to be a farmer, had an argument at a premises in the community. Subsequently, a knife was reportedly used by the man to stab Reed several times. She was pronounced dead at hospital while her alleged attacker turned himself over to the police. When contacted, head of the St. Anne Police, Superintendent Duell Powell, said the killing resulted from a domestic dispute between a man and his girlfriend instigated by jealousy. Of the 8 murders that have been recorded in St. Anne so far this year, 3 have been attributed to domestic-related conflicts. We have an issue with domestic-related murders, so we will be pushing a program from where we sit to treat domestic violence, Powell indicated. The program is to involve the training of persons in conflict resolution and domestic violence intervention. A counseling center for the police division is also to be installed later this year in Alexandra, St. Anne. So, we are hoping this year we will be able to make a serious inroad in terms of domestic violence across the parish, Powell added. Reverend says Christians should be less arrogant about abortion debate. At least one minister of religion is of the view that members of the Christian community should exercise a sense of humility rather than arrogance regarding the issue of whether to legalize abortion in Jamaica. At the same time, rector at Christ Church in Vineyard Town, Reverend Father Sean Major Campbell, has also pointed that abortion is not an issue for the church but rather the state. When it comes to human rights issues like safe access to abortions, it is a matter that the state needs to address, he contended. He was one of the panelists at a recent webinar hosted by the Caribbean Policy Research Institute, CAPRI, as it presented its findings in a European Union-funded report titled Coming to Terms: The Social Cost of Unequal Access to Safe Abortions. In affirming his support for safe access to abortions, Major Campbell said human rights issues such as abortions cannot be determined by the church. On this matter, we really cannot depend on the quarrels that are taking place in religion and other spaces. That is why it is important for government to do its job, he argued. You know, some years ago, Bishop Howard Gregory, now Archbishop, said, as a nation, we are currently involved in a debate concerning abortion and, having not developed a culture for respectful dialogue on issues, we take emotional positions at extreme poles and label those who differ from us as enemies, as we have done with our politics. As members of the wider Christian community, we need to enter into a dialogue with a sense of humility rather than arrogance and the name-calling which has been coming from some quarters, Major Campbell elaborated. In reiterating that the issue of abortion is a matter of the state to decide, Major Campbell suggested too that those in favor of safe abortion, as well as the state, cannot listen and be bogged down with the quarrel because it's a lot of quarrel happening in the space of the church. Additionally, he declared that the real issue for discussion should be that of poor women who are being affected by unsafe abortion. In a plural society, we cannot be preoccupied with the clash of religious views and religious texts when poor women are suffering and stigmatized and dying because they cannot afford to pay for safe access to abortions. I think all of this is important for us to bring to the table of conversation. I think it is going to be also important that we not give in to the fear-mongering that has prevailed re-access to safe abortion, he maintains. In 2018, Member of Parliament of West Rural St. Andrew, the Jamaica Labour Party JLP, Juliet Cockburn-Flint, moved to a motion in Parliament calling for the legalization of abortion. One of CAPRI's findings from its recent study has been a recommendation, albeit controversiality, that minors be allowed to access an abortion on their own without consent of a parent. The requirement of parental consent or notification may delay young women abortion care, leading to more risky and costlier late-term abortion procedures, or even cause the young women to resort to illegal or self-induced abortions in a fear of parental reactions, Capri stated in the report. It was one of 3 recommendations made by Capri, the others being the parliamentarians be allowed to cast a secret vote on the issue of legalizing abortion in order to protect their integrity, and that public funding should be provided for those wishing to terminate a pregnancy. Since the release of the report, several members of the church community and members of the public who are against the legalization of abortions have slammed Capri, especially for its recommendation that minors be granted access to abortion without the knowledge of their parents. Omar Mcleod wins at American Track League, Britania Anderson clock PB. Reigning Olympic 110-meter hurdles champion Omar Mcleod won the men's 60-meter hurdles at the 3rd American Track League meet at the Randall Tyson Track Center in US on Sunday. The 26-year-old Jamaican, who haven't run an indoor hurdle race since 2018, was side-by-side with Michael Dixon of South California in the final before inching ahead and winning in 7.53 with Dixon second in 7.58. The competition was the second outing for Mcleod this season. 2 weeks ago, at his first American Track League meet, Mcleod competed in the 60-meter, his first racing competition since June, and finished fourth in a field of 16 in 6.73 seconds. Jamaicans Britania Anderson clocked a personal best 7.97, but it was just good enough for second place in the women's 60-meter hurdles final. Britain's Tiffany Porter was outbest and outleaned Anderson to win by .02 in 7.95, matching the time she ran in the prelims. 2020 Toyota USTF Indoor Championship gold medalist Gabby Cunningham from North California was third in a 2021 best 8.08. Rochelle Burton, another Jamaican, finished fourth in 8.20. There was another second-place best for Jamaican at the meet, as Christina Williams was a half step away behind Nigerian's Blessing, who clocked a lifetime best of 7.10 to win by 0.2. Williams clocked 7.14 seconds, also a lifetime best. Daniels from Orlando, Florida, finished third in a season best of 7.17. Jamaica's Shayani Saman clocked 52.85 for second place in the second section of the women's 400-meter for third overall. Best known as a 400-meter hurdle with a 2015 championship silver to her credit, Shamir Little from Louisville, Kentucky, rocketed to the front from the start and was never challenged in the first section, winning in an indoor personal best 51.33. Shakima Wibley from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, captured the second section in 52.12 for second place overall. The other Jamaica at the meet, Demar Forbes, was fourth in the men's long jump final with an effort of 7.70 meters. Returning to the form that saw him win the 2016 World Indoor title and pick up a bronze in 2018, Denny from Middleton, New York, waited until his final attempt to sail 8.21 meters and win the event. Denny's mark is the best in the world this year and the best by an American since 2019. Laquan set a Bahamian national indoor record with 8.16 meters in round 2 for second place. The final American Track League meet takes place next Sunday, February 14th. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.